color field painting pieces and abstract color blocks inspired by Richard Mayhew. And now this week we are going to transform those color block pieces into a beautiful torn paper landscape. Now the only supplies that you need this week are your 2 painted papers from last week, the one that is the big hunk of color and one that is 4 or 5 strips of color, and some glue. You don't need scissors, you don't need pencils, you don't need anything, because we are actually going to tear and make beautiful natural landscape lines with our fingers today. You don't even need scissors. Our artwork this week is continued to be inspired by the fabulous Richard Mayhew with his rainbow colored landscapes or moonscapes. He really liked to take the regular that we see in our world and amplify them and more freely add bright and crazy and beautiful colors. He wasn't really interested in real life colors. He wanted to make it more imaginary and creative. So with that inspiration in mind, we are going to take our beautiful color field paintings from last week, these beautiful color blocking strips where we experimented with our different color schemes, our cool, warm, analogous, and free-for-all section, and rip and tear them to make a beautiful layered landscape. One thing to know is that landscapes have 3 different parts that you're going to want to keep in mind today. Landscapes have backgrounds, middle grounds, and foregrounds. The background is the farthest part in the back, the sky or the farthest mountains in the back of a landscape. For me, my background in my picture is my wall behind me. The foreground is the closest thing in front, in the very front of your image, so the closest thing to you. And the middle ground is, of course, everything in the middle. So you want to make sure that your landscape today has those 3 parts, a background, a middle ground, and a foreground. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that by ripping and gluing. So grab your art supplies that you need today, your 2 paintings from last week. If you didn't do them yet, go back, do them now, and then come back here, okay? You need some glue and fingers. That's it. That's all you need. It's pretty simple and easy. So I'm excited to make this artwork with you guys today, and let's get creative. Hey friends! This is the simplest set of art supplies we've needed so far. You hopefully have your 2 paintings, your abstract color block paintings from last week. You made one big one with a large block of sky color, and then you made one where it has 4 or 5 or 6 or however many sections of colors. And in these colors, remember, we tested out and experimented mixing cool colors, mixing warm colors, mixing analogous colors in different ways, and even did a fun free-for-all. And we also experimented with what would happen if we put salt on our papers, which now that it's dry, you can wipe it away, and you'll see it creates a really cool tie-dye dot texture effect on your painting. We also experimented with dabbing some plastic on our paintings and some paper towels to dab them and make them kind of neat. So hopefully you had fun experimenting. This week we're going to take these 2 things with our glue and transform them into gorgeous landscapes or moonscapes inspired by our fabulous artist. Now remember, these landscapes don't have to look realistic. They are fully abstract. So to get this ready, the first thing, set your piece of paper with your one color off to the side. We don't want that one to get messed up. Now this paper, we are going to rip and tear it. Sometimes we cut things and get perfect lines, but for this project, it's kind of more exciting if you actually just rip with your own 2 fingers. So when you rip today, we don't want to do big, long rips like this. You want to do little rips where your fingers are nice and tight together. It's also a little more exciting with your rips if they go up and down and zigzag all around so that it looks like the jig-jaggy of a landscape. So don't be afraid to go a little crazy with it. Now, boys and girls, what I like to do is start at the top of my paper, and to do my rips, I put my thumbs and fingers close together, and then I hold my right hand still and I rip more with my left hand, because when I rip with my left hand, you can see I'm pulling the paper off the top, and it will leave a little white line of my thick paper there. So once I do a little rip, I readjust my fingers, rip again, readjust, rip, readjust, rip. And every rip, I am staying within my color section, and I'm pulling and wiggling it all different crazy ways. So our landscape will look more exciting if we have lots of wiggles on our ripped paper. Now some of that color scheme is still on that side, and that's okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Now I'm gonna go up to my next section and do it again. Little rips going down, ooh, and back up like these can make really cool mountain kind of lines. So take your time doing your rips and try to get each one unique. Wow, look at that cool zigzag of rips. And I worked really hard to try to make sure my white lines kind of stay there. It almost looks like snow on the top of a mountain. Next one, I'm gonna rip in my cool color scheme. Maybe this time I'm just gonna do little bitty zigzags back and forth. And look, my paper kind of gets a little bit balled up in my hand, but I'm just trying to be real careful with it. This one is little tiny ripples. Ooh, very nice. And it also can go this way if I wanted to. It's up to me. Now into my analogous. Ooh, that one kind of got straight there. That's kind of neat. Ooh, look at that big white chunk I got. Awesome. And last one right here. I'm gonna rip on this side so I have that flat bit. Cool. It's not very often we get to rip our papers all apart on purpose. Now, boys and girls, we're gonna take these strips that we cut apart and layer them to make the middle ground and the foreground of our papers. So bring your background paper in to view. Our background is the big one, the sky, and now we're gonna make the middle ground and the foreground. I would take your favorite one that has the flat edge to be your foreground, because it's kind of nice that it already matches up really well at the edge of your page. So whichever one you like the best. I actually kind of like this blue one because it's very calm and simple. Then, boys and girls, you are going to layer behind this piece with your other chunks. Now I kind of like this one, how it has this cool zigzaggy, this one actually with the white, how it's nice and dark against that blue and makes a nice contrast. So I might want that one to be farther in the back. I think this one is actually kind of pretty, how it has the line there in between. Maybe I'll put that one on top. So now what you're gonna do is just play with your layout and figure out the way you like your papers to look the best. Now you might wanna pay attention to what is showing underneath. If I put this one on top of here, it doesn't make sense that my black ones stick out the back. That doesn't make sense for a landscape. But if I hide it with another piece, that helps it to make more sense. My foreground always goes on the very tippy top. Now I don't really like how it's like a pattern with yellow, purple, yellow, orange, purple, orange. So I'm gonna rearrange a little till I get the landscape that I like. Remember, I have my background, my middle ground in here, and my foreground in the very front. So keep playing around till you get an organization that you like the best. Boys and girls, I think this is my composition or my layout that I like the best on mine. I pushed it farther down so that I have more background. And then you can see I kind of squished some a little closer. I'm not showing the whole paper. I condensed it and packed it down. So on some, I can only see a little bit here and there in the little edges, and I like that. I also think it's kind of fun how this is starting to touch my background as well. So you can really use and squish, and you can decide if you want to use all your pieces too. It also sort of looks nice just like this without my other blue one in the front foreground. So you don't have to use all of your pieces if you don't want to. Now that you have your layout all figured out, boys and girls, it's time to glue. Remember, open up your glue bottle by just twisting the carrot nose of your glue and give it a test to see if it breathes. Excellent.
ready to go. If it doesn't breathe, close it back up, pick off any dried glue that's at the top, and then reopen it again. Okay? Now, when we glue this today, boys and girls, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take our papers and just take all of them except for the first one and move them off to the side. Okay, I just shifted them all over. And I'm gonna start gluing from the background to the foreground. So I'm gonna take my background paper, kind of eyeball where it is, flip it over. And when we glue today, boys and girls, we are just going to do a border line of glue, about a finger width in. You don't want to go too close to the edge or it will blob out. So I'm just following the wiggle of my ripped paper with my glue, making a thin line of glue the whole way around. Then I can pick up my paper and glue it down, kind of eyeballing where I wanted it to go. And don't forget to press it and hold it to make it really stay. Good. Now I'm gonna slide that next piece out from my background. Great, and I can start my middle ground. I kind of eyeball and double check where I want it to go. Flip it over. Do my wiggly outline that matches the wiggle of my tear line. Flip it over and glue it down. Now, as we get more papers layered here, boys and girls, don't forget to hold it and let it set before you add a new piece. Now, boys and girls, I changed my mind and I actually don't think I want this little piece in the front. I really like that my foreground is nice and big in the front of my landscape and that my middle ground is a series of layered rips with a really big background. I can, however, use this to add any details in the sky. Maybe I want to now take this piece of paper and I want to rip some clouds that I can stick in my sky instead, since I have an extra piece. I could also rip or even take some scissors and cut out a circle if I really want to. And since this is blue, it's cool colors, it's almost like it's a little moon in the sky. It's kind of hidden, which is nice. So if you have any extra scraps, feel free to add any extra details you might want over there where it kind of pops out. Do you see how it hides away and disappears in the dark side, but in the light side it really pops out. I'm going to add 3 dots and glue it down. Before I'm all finished, I'm going to flip it over and give everything a massage. Lovely. So now, boys and girls, I have a gorgeous abstract landscape or even moonscape inspired by our fabulous artist Richard Mayhew, and it's very colorful and rainbowy. It's simple and gorgeous. I'm so impressed. I can't wait to see your gorgeous landscapes, boys and girls. Please make sure you take a picture and upload it onto Canvas so you get credit for your artwork, and then put this somewhere on display. I think the other people in your house are going to be really impressed with how beautiful your landscape